Well, hello and welcome to episode 23 of the All Things Leeds podcast, the 18-19 season finale of the All Things Leeds podcast with myself, Ed McIntyre, and joining me in the studio is, of course, Leeds United fan and good friend, Charles Foster. How are you, Charles?
I'm alright, mate. A bit tired this morning, but I'm happy to be here.
Yeah.
I like habits later than usual.
Good week?
Yeah, of course. Class week, yeah. Some good news as well, which we'll get into. Very
good news, which we'll get into. Me and Charles as well are also joined by probably the most knowledgeable Leeds United fan around. He's also an author. It is, of course, Andrew Dalton, best known as Stats. How are you?
Very well, sir. Thank you for having me, and very much looking forward to being part of the show. And we'll see how we do on the quiz. I might lose a bit of decorum on the quiz, but yeah, been a good week so far, which we'll get into. And I think now we've just about dusted ourselves down from the disappointment of Derby County and raring to go again. And the fixture out in 3 weeks' time or so.
Yep. What's the date that they're out?
June the 20th, 9 a.m. I'm sure we'll all get our phones out and we'll see all the alerts from the club and what have you. And I think Derby County at home would be quite nice to start with and just keep the rivalry going.
Yeah, that'd be brilliant.
I don't know. I'd quite like Neil Warnock's Cardiff at home. That'd be good.
That'd be brilliant. I can't wait. But yeah, brilliant to have you on, Stats. And yeah, of course, we are doing a quiz later on, so pressure is on you, Stats. Yeah, what a couple of weeks. You know, it might have been a couple of weeks since our season ended, but what a whirlwind of a week it's been at Elland Road. Plenty of stuff to chat about in this episode, including Leeds United on Tuesday announcing that Marcelo Bielsa will be head coach for next season. That news came a day after Frank Lampard's Derby County lost the player final 2-1 to Aston Villa. We'll have a laugh about that. And that came at the end of a week where news came out that chairman of Qatar Sports Investment and president of PSG, Nasser Al Khalifa, a billionaire, was reportedly interested in buying shares at Leeds United, but Andrea Radrizzani said he isn't interested in selling any. We'll discuss that as well as look at the latest transfer rumours before we do the end of season quiz. This is the All Things Leeds podcast. So before we... Let's turn that off. So before we get into the news, as always we do. As always here we like to introduce the guests when we have them on the All Things Leeds podcast, and of course today it is Stats, a very knowledgeable Leeds United fan. But Stats, your love for Leeds United must have started somewhere. So yeah, where did your love for Leeds United start? And what's your earliest memory? Do you remember?
I think my love started with my mum's, I think, cousin was on the board, Sidney Simon, in the 1960s, and I was kind of born into sort of the Leeds United fan base and what have you. Our first game was April the 13th, 1991, when we lost 5-4 to Liverpool. My first memory was when Cantona scored against Chelsea when they won the league in 91-2, and I think it must have been over nearly 700-800 games watching Leeds up and down the country. You've had your good times, I've seen the bad times, I've seen the Champions League semi-finals, I've seen Leeds win the old First Division, I've seen relegations, administrations, owners come and go, but look, you stick with it. It is your football club, and the good times and the bad times, you just go through it, as the famous song goes, the ups and downs, and I wouldn't change it for the world. Yes, it was devastating a couple of weeks ago against Derby County, but look, what doesn't break you makes you stronger, and they've got to come back in pre-season and kind of go again and ready for a tilt the Championship come what May next season.
Yeah, definitely. So, why did you start supporting Leeds when you did?
I think Leeds,
everyone must have a reason.
Born and bred, and I just remember I've been invited to my first game as I think a 6-year-old, and ever since then I've never looked back, and I've always had a thirst for remembering matches and what have you. And I actually made my radio debut on another show, aged 8. Back in 1993.
Wow.
And I think from there I just had a thirst for radio broadcasting in Leeds United, and I think the two have gone hand in hand, and you can't change your football clubs. They're not like women where you can change it unless you're married for 40 years. Sorry, mum and dad. You just don't change it. It is well, you're sort of born and you're connected to that football club, and for me it's always been Leeds United, being a Leeds boy as well, and as I say, seeing the ups and downs, and it's just part and parcel of it. And I remember obviously the tragic events in Galatasaray and what have you, and it brought home how much Leeds United actually meant to, I think, everyone individual when you saw the griefing output at Elland Road that weekend. And,
yeah, definitely.
I've just been born and bred into it, and I've never changed it. And obviously, I've been very lucky and very fortunate in my life to work alongside Leeds United and work alongside the media as well, reporting on games, and also very fortunate to have my name on 2 books over the last 5 years or so, and a third one coming out sort of in August, September time.
Yeah, so let's talk about the books then. So you've done a few books in the past.
Yes.
Leeds United, All White.
Yeah.
You're also working on a book now, which you've said is coming out in a few months. What are you working on currently?
I'll just, for the first 2 books, the first one I did with John Howe, who's an absolutely fantastic author. Go and follow him on Twitter. We did the Leeds United All White, the top 100. He did all the player profiles. Absolutely fantastic job John did. And I did all the statistics for the book. And then I did with Heidi Hay. Again, go and follow her on social media for Leeds United in the 1980s. A real look back of a forgotten time in football in the 1980s when hooliganism was at its highest. And we talk about the stories at Bournemouth, Bradford, Huddersfield, all sorts, Birmingham, you name it, it's all in the book. And for this one, being commissioned to do a book on the centenary, which also is coming up in October. And it's basically a look back of 100 years of Leeds United, including all the results, all the games, interviews with some players, interviews with some managers, fans' input. We asked a selection of supporters to sort of put in what Leeds United meant to them in 140 characters on Twitter, which makes that an eye-catching kind of little thing. I've been asked to pick 10 important players per decade, which is quite interesting. I'm sure it'll provoke an awful lot of debate. I had to leave out Harry Kewell for obvious reasons. Yeah. Look, Harry was a wonderful player at Leeds in 98, 99, 99, 2000. He was literally unplayable. But what he did to go and play for them in Turkey, I still think now leaves a little bit of a bitter taste in people's mouths.
It's a disgrace, really.
So, absolutely, it's the one club he will never play for. But on the flip side, I've had to include Rio Ferdinand because for 2 seasons or for 1.5 seasons, I thought it was unplayable.
Great player, but it's still kind of
still raw.
Yeah.
Look, I've even included Alan Smith as well because I thought the way he burst onto the scene at Anfield in '98 and that impact with his first touch at the Kop end is schoolboy stuff. So it's difficult picking 10 players per decade, especially the 60s and 70s. It'll be out in the Leeds United store sort of August, September time, leading up to the centenary celebrations in October. I'm working with the club very closely to get a list of every single player that's played for the club since 1919, 1920. We're looking at building heritage numbers for each player. It's something that the Leeds Rhinos have done, that every player that have played for the club has a specific heritage number. We're currently on 823 players, with Izzy Brown being the latest because he made his debut against QPR back in February. So a lot going on behind the scenes at the football club, especially with the centenary, and we're 6 months away from it now, 5 months away from it, and it's all sort of hands to the pump and working my book and hopefully be out in August time.
Yep. How much is the book going to be?
I think we're looking at £25.
£25, not £45.
Not £45. That's not my decision. That is the publisher's decision. But looking forward to it. And look, it's always been an ambition of mine to write books for Leeds United, and with it being my football club, it makes it more of a hobby than everything, and it's getting there slowly. What's interesting is writing about the manager profiles, which I'll be starting next week, so you can read about the likes of Don Revie, Brian Clough, David Hockaday, Darko Milanic as well, to name before. But I actually interviewed David Hockaday last year, and he came up with some intriguing stories about how he got the job at Leeds United, which will be in the book. And it's amazing. You talk about the appointment, obviously the reappointment of Marcelo Bielsa yesterday, from the likes of David Hockaday, Darko Milanic, of kind of unheard of managers, to possibly one of the biggest names in world sport, or world football, should I say. So it's a roller coaster ride, and I'm sure it's something that a lot of fans look to get the teeth into, and it's one I've kind of enjoyed doing. Yeah,
it should be good. What's David Hockaday up to nowadays?
I think he's a PE teacher somewhere in Southampton. Look, I remember coming home. I think I was playing football or playing snooker at Riley's one sunny afternoon in June 2014. Brian McDermott had also been relieved of his duties, and Massimo Cellino came in, and the news came in that David Hockaday had agreed terms to become Leeds United manager. And I'll never forget his first press conference with the watermelon quotes and
saying he wants to get Leeds United to the Champions League.
Yeah, he was on a heading to nothing. It wasn't his fault. when Leeds United come calling, you're never going to turn it down. He lasted 6 games. Dakim Milanic lasted 6 games. Obviously, Redfern came in and sort of steadied the ship. But it's amazing to think the amount of managers we've been through sort of in the last 20 years or so, from the likes of Wilco from winning the league, George Graham, David O'Leary, I could list them all, to David Hockaday. It's just bizarre to say the least, but look, it's part of the history. It goes down as a manager. I know he had 6 games in charge, but saying that, he did beat Gordonay 15-0 in a pre-season friendly, which is our record ever. And I know don't go down in competitive games, but yeah, very bizarre. And some of the players, the likes of Zan Benedicic that we bought in, Casper Sloth, I think he's just signed for Motherwell this week.
Yep,
a real blast from the past. NkGhTg, just amazing. Look, they're all part of the history now at Elland Road.
Brian Montenegro
Made his debut, I think, against Wolves, coming off the bench. Dario Del Fabro, just some wonderful names of players.
Some players.
You could reminisce about 100 years, but they'll all be mentioned in the book and all mentioned in the part of the centenary stuff. And it's something where I'm very looking forward to. And I must just mention Craig Wilson, who's the social media guy at Elland Road, or my lookalike, as everybody seems to say.
He looks exactly like.
Does look a bit like it, to be fair.
Brothers from different mothers. He has done a wonderful job on gathering all the information with the help of myself, and we're looking forward to getting all the information out over the next couple of weeks. And I think there will be a website launch for all the players and data on there over the next week or so.
Brilliant. What's the process of writing a book? How long does it usually take?
It's strange, because I remember shopping I think I was in Manchester a few years back, and I saw club histories in bookstores, and I said I always wanted to do that. So it's weird how it came about. I remember seeing one. I think I was in Sheffield at one time, and I rang up publishers, and I got hold of a couple of publishers in details, and I said, look, I'd like to write a book on Leeds United, and the first thing we wanted to do was a history book on the club with me and John Hahn. I think this was in sort of November 2011, and I just sort of said, look, I'd like to do a book, because I've always had a thirst of getting my name on there. And look, money is great to do it, but I've always wanted to sort of have the notoriety to say I've written a couple of books, and it looks absolutely brilliant, and something to sort of tell the family later on in life. Got in contact with them. Paul Camlin is actually one of the press guys down at Brighton, and I said, look, what's the opportunity of me doing a book on Leeds United and what have you. So I gave him a couple of ideas. I met with John Howe that summer, and in 2011, and said, look, I'd like to do some writing with you. And originally we were going to do a history book, but it then came to our attention that the 2 people, Martin Jarrett and Martin McDonough, were already doing a history book, and we thought, okay, we can't do that. So we looked at different ideas. We met with Paul when Brighton came to Elland Road in February 2012, and said, look, we'd like to do a vote on the greatest Leeds United players. Look, it had been done, I think, 10 years previously in the old Leeds magazine, and it just took off from there. We set a vote up, we counted all the votes, we got the top 100 players, and we turned that one into our first publication. I'd say John did an absolutely wonderful role with all the narratives, all the players. His writing style is second to none, and I can't big him up any further, and he's absolutely brilliant what he does. And then for the second one, I got in contact with DB Publishing, a guy called Steve Carron, who I'd known from previous books that some of my friends had done, and I wanted to sell him the idea, and we came with the idea of doing sort of Leeds United in the 1980s. I showed him sort of my portfolio of work that I'd done for the club. I kind of got lucky that I'd written a lot in the old magazines, written a lot in the Leeds United programmes, and I just kind of got fortunate and said, look, I think an idea to do is Leeds United in the 1980s. I've done a bit of demographic research, and I think it's always important you see what's actually out there, because what you don't want to do is the same idea that somebody else has done, and it doesn't sell very well.
Yeah.
And we sold the idea to Steve, and it went down brilliantly. I got Eddie to do one of the forwards for one of the books, and got Mickey Adams to do the forward for the second book. I like to do things differently. I've got Phil Hay to do the forward for this book, which everybody knows Phil Hay. And if you don't, I don't know where you've been living.
More followers than Millwall.
Yes, he has more followers than Millwall. Absolute legend of the Yorkshire Evening Post. And yeah, it's just having the confidence to go up to publishers and say, look, I want to do this, this, and this. And I've been very lucky to do that. Yeah, you're going to get criticism. I'm sure I'll get the odd negative comment once the third book comes out, but you're going to get that with anything you do in life.
Yeah.
And I'm just very fortunate and very privileged that the publishers at DB Publishing and what have you have kind of taken me under their wing and said, yeah, I'd like to do this. And it's funny because I was interviewing Noel Whelan a few weeks ago at the start of the season, and he said, if this goes well, you can do my autobiography, which would be a hell of an honour. I'm sure it'll be called Get In.
Brilliant.
We'll do autobiography with about 100 exclamation marks. So yeah, and it's just amazing how many opportunities come out of it. I'm really fortunate, I'm really privileged, and it's something that no one can ever take away from me.
Yeah, gonna hold you down to that. Make sure that it is called Get In.
if he does, see how this one sells, and I'll need a break from it because it can be quite stressful.
Yeah.
Writing books and hitting deadlines, but we're getting there slowly, and it'll be out in all good bookstores at sort of August, September time, which will be a real thrill for myself, and in time for the centenary celebrations in October.
Brilliant, can't wait. So, Stats, you're known for your knowledge on Leeds United.
So it's been told.
You know pretty much everything, of course, the nickname Stats.
Yes.
At what point did you start to think, you know what, I'm going to go and start learning everything about Leeds United and start with all the knowledge that you've got?
It's weird because even as a kid, 7, 8 years old, one of my dad's friends would come round and test me on results, and it kind of just stuck. I got invited onto the Alvin Blossom show on BBC Radio Leeds in Christmas 1993, and it just went from there. I used to do quizzes on Radio Leeds with a guy called John Boyd, called the Each Way Bet. When I was sort of 12, 13, it just kept going and going and going. I appeared, and I should really admit this, on Live and Kicking back in the day in 2001. Thankfully there's no clips because I think it's probably in the dustbin floor. And I did a football quiz on there, and it just kept going and going. I remember going to university at UCLan in Preston, obviously studied sports journalism, and I just introduced myself just completely off the cuff of stats. And this was the first 3 days at uni, and it just stuck, and it was really surreal. And from there on in, it just stuck, and it's stuck ever since. And I set Twitter up in, I think, December 2010. It wasn't as big then as it is now, and my followers have just kind of gone off the scale, and I never thought it would take off, but I get texts and tweets at 3 a.m. saying, what's this, this and this. I do try and sleep. You can probably see from the bags under my eyes. And it just kind of sort of took off, and it's really weird position. And I must give a shout out to Chris Taylor, who does the data, the LUFC data. Unbelievable knowledge of what he does with all the player stats and what have you. We slightly differ. That I look at sort of more appearances, games and history stuff, and he looks like at all the sort of stats on the pitch on a weekday and a match day. But yeah, it's just surreal. I never thought social media would take off, and social media can be very dangerous, as I found to my cost.
Yeah.
But it can be a nice place, and it can be a happy place when things are going well. And I never imagined social media to take off with nearly 18,000 followers, which is actually quite surreal. And even being recognised at Elland Road is something I've never experienced in my life before. That I think I came out, I think it was after the Sheffield Wednesday game when we won 1-0 in April. And people were just saying, your stats. I thought, yeah, and I don't even know half the people. And and it's nice. And it's nice to be recognised like that. I never expected it. I never anticipated it. And I think you've just got to kind of take it in its stride. And the stats thing has just stuck for about 15, 16 years. And it just keeps on going from there, really.
Yeah, brilliant. Now, before we move on to the news that we have to get stuck into, I'm interested to know Stats. What's the biggest memory from your time following Leeds United? What's the thing that stands out to you?
There's been obviously plenty of ups and downs. I'd have to say the Champions League quarter-final at home to Deportivo La Coruña in 2001. It was a game nobody outside Leeds gave us a hope. I think I remember some of the Spanish interviews, Spanish players coming out that Leeds were the weaker side, and it's probably the best performance I've ever seen from a Leeds United team in my lifetime. The way they came out under David O'Leary, they absolutely demolished them. Ian Hart scored one of the best free kicks I've ever seen at Elland Road. Smithy got the second, and Rio Ferdinand got his first goal in the 61st minute to make it 3-0. And just possibly the best performance that I've seen as a Leeds United fan, thinking we're in the Champions League quarter-final, we've got an opportunity in our first ever year in the European competition, in the Champions League, I know in European Cup in 92-3 and in the old European Cup in 74-5 got to the final, but to play the way we did, it was just unbelievable. At least being Leeds, they made it half themselves in the second leg in the Riazor, losing 2-0, but just that performance, and I remember talking to Don Matteo about it, that it was just one of those games where just everything clicked. Unfortunately, the Valencia game was overshadowed with the Lee Bowie incident being banned literally 24 hours before the game. Yeah. But just unbelievable memories. There's the second leg at Preston, having lived in Preston for 3 years, stands out. The second leg against Carlisle when Johnny Howson scored those 2 goals. Celebration was unbelievable. Unfortunately for Leeds, I like to leave the celebration in the semi-finals and forget about finals. and probably the other two, the promotion winning day against Bristol Rovers, when I think every Leeds fan went through heartache from the Max Gradle sending off to the winning goal against Jermaine Beckford, which was the perfect end to Beckford's tenure at Leeds United. And the other one that stands out is January the 3rd, 2010, when you go to Old Trafford. No hope. No one expects what happened. You're a third tier club. You're top of that third tier. You're playing the European champion finalists. Okay, they got beat by Barcelona in the final the previous year. Top of the Premier League. I think Wayne Rooney, Dimitar Berbatov, Gary Neville started, and you look at the Man United team, you don't give Leeds much hope, but the performance Leeds put in was unbelievable, and the only disappointment was it wasn't more than 1-0, because I think Beckford hit one wide, Snodgrass hit the crossbar from a free kick, and they were just absolutely brilliant. And one riding memory from that game was Casper Ankergren making a last-ditch save from Wayne Rooney, and even Jason Crowe clearing one off the line from Rooney. But yeah, they're probably my top 5 memories. Look, I've been through it all. Relegations is difficult. Player semi-final defeats are difficult because there's no coming back from it. But yeah, I've had it all in 25 years watching Leeds, but I won't change it for the world, because it's what supporting a football team's all about. Every club's got the story to tell, and Leeds are no different. And it's just, it's a roller coaster. It's an emotional roller coaster. I think watching the Derby County game went through every single emotion possible from
so high to so low.
Yeah, from Stuart Dallas scoring the opening goal, thinking we're 2-0 up here, and on our way to Wembley, to the utter deflation at full time, and seeing Derby County celebrate. But that's football for you, and hoping in our centenary season that Leeds United do finally get the job done and return to the promised land.
Yep, hopefully. Well, let's move on to the big news then. Leeds United announcing on Tuesday that Marcelo Bielsa will remain as head coach for next season. And Chairman Andrea Radrizzani exercised the option to extend Bielsa's contract for a second season, a right that was maintained for the club in the 2-year deal Bielsa signed in June 2018. And after numerous meetings over the past few weeks, as discussed last week, Bielsa was spotted quite a lot of times in Leeds.
Including by you.
Yep, by me as well.
Where did you spot him?
In Leeds, near Albion Street, like on Managerial.
I was actually been into town then.
Yeah. I was going to work last week. Yeah. I just saw him walking along. I didn't notice him till
it was too late.
Yeah, he walked past me and I was like, "Was that Bielsa?"
Yes.
I turned around and I was like, "Yeah."
I must say, before we get onto the stories with Bielsa, there's these people that spot him in car showrooms and on the Sky Bar Lounge, and they post pictures onto Twitter. Wow, just brilliant. Incredible. He can't get a moment's peace, can he?
Yeah.
Poor man.
He's not a hard man to spot, really.
No, he's very recognisable in Leeds.
And
our fan base is full of stalkers.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong there. Wherever Bielsa goes, there's a camera, I'm sure.
Yeah. It's always in his league.
Someone saying, he's buying a Volvo. He's definitely staying.
that was the best one.
Yeah, that was brilliant.
Leeds fans just say here, there and everywhere.
Yeah. But Bielsa has agreed to stay now, which is brilliant news, Charles, isn't it?
Yeah, well, of course. I mean, there's been no point in building this project up over the last year, and to change the culture so dramatically from the kind of, I don't want to say to be too harsh, but the kind of losing culture of last season, the kind of where Christensen's tenure kind of fell apart in like January, February, and then Paul Heckingbottom winning 4 of 20 games in his last few his few months of the season, and then you think, right, it got to the end of that season and nobody had any hope, and then we got to the last season that's just gone, and we how good was the football? How the project was back. We were playing such good football. We were scoring goals, enjoying games, crowds were going back up. The club had kind of had hope again, and we finished in the Championship playoffs for the first time in a very long time, and we probably should have finished automatically if we'd have turned up when he mattered. But that aside,
it's been a brilliant journey.
Yeah, we need him for the next step. I mean, because that's what we did against. As Stats mentioned, against Bristol Rovers, because did we get knocked out by Millwall the previous season in the playoff semis?
Yeah, I've never known a noise like it when Becchio scored. And Jimmy Abdu scores the winning goal for Millwall, and again it just utter deflation. And then Grayson brought them back into pre-season training, and they went on a fantastic run. And again, Leeds being Leeds, they were top of the league at Christmas, and I think the Man United game probably took a lot out of them, and they ended up just about finishing second, which is the easy way for Leeds, isn't it?
No, true. We did do it on the final, pretty much the final day, but you could see there's a few parallels there. We could end up doing that if we invest wisely. I know we're planning on the loan market this year, but there's plenty of gems in the loan market, as Villa have proved, as West Brom have proved,
Derby as well.
Derby have proved it. So we can, if we can go in there wisely, not upset the old FFP apple cart too much.
I think for me, and I think one tweet that I put out yesterday just about summed up, it's the first time since 2011-2012 season that we've had the same manager back-to-back seasons, which just shows
continuity. You need it.
Stability we've not had. And I think to me, it's the biggest appointment of the summer. And what's pleased me the most, it's done now. How many times over the last 4 or 5 years we've gone into June without a manager?
Yeah,
I think it was Alan Nixon on his Twitter said that we signed Bielsa this year 18 days earlier than we did last year.
Yeah, and I think that's massive, because then it gives Bielsa an opportunity to sort of identify which players he wants to keep, which players he wants to bring in, and I think it's mad because I think. Okay, we went off to a great start last year, and Bielsa was the first ever Leeds manager in history to win his first four games in charge of the club, which was outstanding because he hadn't had that much of a pre-season with them. Here, it gives them an opportunity. They know they're going to Australia in a few weeks, I think, to face playing Man United and I can't remember the Australian team. Perth, down in Australia. And it now gives Leeds, the board, Victor Orta, Andrea, the opportunity to identify the players that they want to bring in, get the transfer business done as soon as possible, get some pre-season friendlies written in the diary, which I'm sure they will do, and then announce the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And go from there, really. Yeah, have a break. It's been an unbelievable season. I think, to me, we exceeded all expectations. Look, everyone was gutted when we lost to Derby County, don't get me wrong. We've had a rollercoaster of a season. I think the players will be better for the experience. And like you said there, Charles, under Grayson, when we lost to Millwall, you can use that as motivation to hopefully go one step further next season, and just don't take it to the last day of the season next year, because I don't think my heart will take it. I probably will be over there. No. But in all seriousness, it's a brilliant appointment. It's brilliant news, and as I say, to get it done at the end of May, ironically after Derby County lose the playoff final, I think. I don't think that was planned or
excellent timing by the Leeds United media team there.
Absolutely fantastic news, and I think it just gives the lift that everybody needs, because everyone's deflating and on the floor after the Derby game.
Everyone's up for the new season now. Everyone's up for the pre-season friendlies. Everyone's looking forward to the transfer window.
Correct.
And I think as well, knowing the manager early on, it also puts the players at ease as well, because some players may have felt, there's a bit of uncertainty here. Will Bielsa stay? Will he leave? I may want to try get out of here, but now we've done the business early. They know that Bielsa's staying. They're probably in the back of their minds thinking, you know what, I fancy another season of Bielsa.
Players from other clubs that might be interested in coming on loan or on a permanent scene. Right, he's definitely there next season. He's someone I would like to be managed by.
Yeah.
He's someone who I think can improve me as a player. I want to go there.
Yeah, definitely.
The thing for me is, if you look back over the last 6 years, going to sort of start with 14-15, so didn't know who was going to manage, a Hockey Day managed. 15-16, didn't know Ross was going to manage. 16-17, Monk came late. 17-18, Christensen came in sort of that summer. It's that instability that we now don't have. And we've got that sustainability coming into this new season. We know the manager it's starting into June next week, and all systems go back in pre-season training 3-4 weeks before they've had the break and they're ready to go again. And I'm sure every Leeds United fan will get behind the team like they did. The support is absolutely outstanding this season, and ready to go. And once those fixtures come out on June the 20th in 3 weeks' time, I think everybody's started to look at. Here, there and everywhere. Look, I know with the fixtures, you've got 2 fixture lists. You've got Leeds United fixtures and you've got Leeds United TV fixture list. Sorry, Sky Sports Leeds fixture list.
It's so frustrating.
I think we had 32 games on TV last season, which is a record for Leeds United, which is ridiculous.
I heard at one point, I'm not sure if it was true, that at one point in the season, the only clubs that were on TV more than Leeds were Manchester City and Liverpool.
That's correct, yeah. I think Sky have got the deal for the red button again, which to me I think I can see the pros and cons. If you can't get to the away games, it's perfect. You can watch it on TV. the problem is if you're on a home team, you've also got the opportunity to watch it on TV, and that's where you lose on income.
Yeah, and also the fact that Leeds only got just over $1 million this year in TV revenue, and the lowest club in the Premier League, the club that finishes 20, I think.
Huddersfield Town.
Was it Huddersfield or Cardiff that were on TV the least?
Yeah.
And they got 100 million in TV revenue.
Which is unfortunately, and it's not something that goes down to as the way the TV.
But people always say when it's excuse that though. Everyone wants to watch the Premier League. The people don't watch the Championship as much.
I disagree.
But
with that.
I would disagree for a number of reasons. The fact is, more people live in Leeds and live in Cardiff, and live in Leeds than Huddersfield.
And I think
more people watch from Leeds as well.
The Premier League has come far too predictable. You've got your top 4, top 5. Championship is so unpredictable. You don't know what you're going to get from game to game.
Yeah. Because there's 2 huge rifts in the top 2 tiers, isn't there? There's a rift between 6th and 7th in the Premier League, and there's the rift between the Premier League and the Championship for players you can attract, players you can afford to bring to your club.
Absolutely.
And how you can run your club.
And I think, look, I was no Cellino fan when he came in, but what he said about the TV deal actually got spot on.
Yeah.
Because you're not getting enough money for being on Sky Sports. And to be on Sky, 32 times over a course of a season and get not even anywhere near what Huddersfield Town get for appearing in the Premier League isn't right. It's an unfair playing field. And you've also got the parachute payments with Huddersfield, Cardiff and Fulham that have come down. You expect them to be stronger next season.
Yeah, Cardiff will have, 60 million or something like that to spend.
I mean, you just can't compete with that. You just can't.
And I think that's why what Norwich did and Sheffield United did, and to an extent Aston Villa with a low market, was absolutely superb. And you look at the teams that came down, Swansea nowhere near, Stoke nowhere near really. It can be frustrating with the parachute payments.
West Brom did all right.
West Brom
they suffered massively with the loss of Harvey Barnes in January.
Yes, they did, and I thought they were unlucky to sack Darren Moore because James Shan just got them where Darren Moore was in the end, and it looks like James Shan won't be kept on. Well, won't be kept on as manager. They're looking elsewhere for another manager. But look, it is what it is with the Championship, and the riches, as we all know, are in the Premier League. And from a Leeds perspective, you've just got to either use the loan market very wisely. Or use the transfer market very wisely. You can't be going out spending 20 million in the Championship because you just can't afford it.
That is one of the criticisms of this season, is that we didn't use the loan market perhaps quite as well as we should have done.
I think, to counteract, I think we were unlucky. I think Lewis Baker was injured quite a lot. Obviously went to Reading and did well at Reading. Jamal Blackman was very unlucky because I think from memory Bielsa was going to actually play him against Bristol City, and he got injured and he broke his leg.
Yeah, to be Will Huffer ended up in goal there.
He broke his leg that week in the reserve game and also was out for the season. Yeah. Obviously Will Huffer came in and Cameron Mazak off the bench. And Jack Harrison is one that splits opinion. Yeah. I like Jack.
Still one of the best assists I've ever seen in that first leg against Derby.
Yes, fantastic through ball. Fantastic through. And I think with another season under Bielsa, because the stories are coming out that Phil Hay tweeted looking at a second low from him, I think he'd be a better player.
I don't think any Leeds fan would mind him as a squad player. They just want a bit more depth on the wings because we were really struggling for pace. And I noticed that, as you were saying earlier, LUFC data was saying that we are very low on take-ons on the wings.
And it's interesting because I remember speaking to people in around the club in June, July time when Bielsa was first appointed, and he likes a small squad, and we've seen that. So with the options up top, the kind of rotated Roof and Bamford when both have been fit and available. I think a lot of emphasis will be on youth next season. You've got the likes of Ryan Edmondson, who's had a brilliant season in the 23s. I think
20 goals, didn't he? 20 goals.
I think he'll come into the equation next season. Mateus Bogus looks like he's taken all before him in the 23. He's only been here a few months. There's another one. Obviously, Shackleton will have more game
I'd love to
time.
see Shackleton get an extended run in the squad.
And I can understand the emphasis on the youth because they've got no fear. Obviously, the big question marks for me will be Jack Clarke. Obviously, a lot of rumours with Tottenham. They have to keep Calvin. They have to keep Calvin Phillips. Calvin Phillips, with me, has been unbelievable this season.
Do you think it might be a wise move by the club because he's only got 2 years left on his contract, doesn't it? To try and get him onto a longer contract if they can.
Possibly. I think the problem with contracts nowadays, you can sign a new contract and 5 minutes later you can be gone. And the prime example is for that, and I know it's different nowadays. Matt Smith signed a contract in August 2014.
Don't go to bed just yet.
Leeds United tweet, don't go to bed just yet. And 2 weeks later, he was sold to Fulham. So contracts are not probably not worth the paper they're written on nowadays. But if they can keep Phillips, if they can build a team around Kevin Phillips, Calvin Phillips, get a fit Barry Douglas, because we saw what he did at Wolves 2 seasons ago. I think he's been very unlucky with injuries as well.
Yeah, he was injured a huge portion of the season.
Use the loan window very wisely, because there are players out that you look at what Derby can do. Mason Mount and Harry Wilson. Harry Wilson was superb at Derby. This season scored some wonderful free kicks, especially at Old Trafford. So there are gems out there. You've just got to use it very wisely.
Yeah, definitely. And hopefully with Bielsa staying, it attracts
massively.
a lot of players. I love with the announcement of Bielsa staying. Leeds United used the plastered the phrase all over online. Vamos Leeds Carajo. If you want to know what the word Carajo means, it's Spanish and it translates to. Just Google it.
Yeah, we won't mention it on here.
You can say what Vamos means. That means come on or let's go.
But carajo, just Google it.
I didn't know what that word meant half a season. I still decided to Google it.
It's got multiple meanings though.
Yeah.
I think it's just a general swear word.
Digital Wilson has tweeted it all yesterday. Fantastic. The job that he does is absolutely brilliant.
Yeah,
which kind of gets us into our next point about this alleged Twitter spat. Not only with Derby County, but with some singing in One Direction. Some useless band. Can I say that?
I mean, you can.
Yeah.
I'm sure they've
useless.
Tread lightly though. They've got expensive lawyers.
And they may listen to this.
Look, banter. It's banter on football. Niall Horan, I think, started. Look, it doesn't really matter who started it, but if you're going to carry it on, you're going to expect a little bit of rebuttal. I thought the way Derby County celebrated at Elland Road when they won the playoff semi-final was a little bit OTT. That's just my opinion.
It wasn't just the players though; the staff and management were running around the ground. Lampard had to go to the East Stand.
No, I'd gone by then.
He was doing crying motions and having a go at the East Stand, which is people's families, people's kids there. People are not going to be happy with that.
I think that's very unprofessional.
Yeah.
And I think then...
they celebrated like they had already been promoted.
Yeah, and I got the impression, especially on their social media with players, on their Instagram pages, having a go at Leeds United as a football club. And
they were Snapchatting... having a go at Leeds in a nightclub later on in the night as well.
Yeah, which I thought was very unprofessional because the job's not done yet. And then certain players tweeting "I spy" and what have you and whatnot. Again, I think that's very unprofessional from a social media account. However, if you're going to dish it out in this day and age,
you've got to be able to take it back.
They've took it in spades.
They're going to have to take it in spades.
I mean, I'm not saying anything against it. I thought it was hilarious. I piled in. It was hilarious.
Yeah, I did. I thought the way Craig responded to Niall Horan was absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
And it's a bit of banter at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And I think what disappoints me was the way certain journos, nationwide journos, have jumped on the bandwagon.
And then these are the same journalists that were saying, all the Derby County stuff,
brilliant.
Well within their rights, so that's brilliant.
But all of a sudden when it's Leeds, not a word. So like even Stoke City tweeted about West Brom when they got knocked out in the semi-finals of the playoffs. Not an eyelid battered, but suddenly because it's Leeds and they've got a big following, a big reputation, everyone likes to jump in on the bandwagon. And I just don't understand why these journalists weren't jumping when Derby County were doing it. Like when Derby County tweeted the Oasis song, all the journalists would go, "Oh, that's brilliant, that's fantastic." When Leeds tweet, "Stop crying, Frank Lampard," or "How's your singing career?"
Some professional.
I mean, here's the tweet if you've never seen it. So Niall Horan, he tweeted back when they beat us in the second leg, LUFC, between Derby County and we played at Wembley more times in the last 12 years than you lot. And then Craig Wilson on the Leeds United Twitter, he just replied, "Hopefully you perform better than Derby County. See you next season. #stop crying." But it's the thing is, journalists and presenters, they tweeted saying, this is fine, this is brilliant, it's a laugh, and then Leeds United do it, and all of a sudden it's a big deal.
Suddenly we're on Sky Sports News and we're on Talk Sport and we're undignified and we are being petulant and sore losers and things like that.
And it's unfortunate. I was on Talk Sports. I got cuff in my prime, which is a little bit frustrating. I said, look, it's just the day and age we live in now, that social media is so instantaneous that you're going to get banter. Look, we all give banter out and what have you, and we all get it back, and it's part and parcel of being a football supporter. However, I just found it very hypocritical of journalists to jump on the bandwagon.
Well, the thing is, variety is the spice of life. Rivalry is the spice of football.
Correct.
And in the modern era, you can develop. You can give a bit of banter, a bit of stick, and spice up games a bit. No one wants to go to a game where there's nothing riding on it. The fans have got nothing against each other. That's basically a friendly. No one wants those type of games. They want the high pressure, rewarding games with great atmospheres.
Correct.
Everyone wants to be in those games, and you get those games by developing friendly, not obviously. I say friendly to a certain extent. I mean, I know Radrizzani's fallen out with Mel Morris a little bit, and that's not libelous because that's genuinely true because he got interviewed saying that.
He did. Yep. He did indeed.
Just before he thinks, I'm going to have to delete that. These are the kind of things that everyone wants to see. Modern on social media, modern football fans want rivalry, and as long as it's not overstepping any boundaries, and everyone knows what those boundaries are, regards to racism, sexism, and abuse towards people and their families and anything like that, because that's totally out of order. But as long as it's not crossing any boundaries between clubs and there's nothing too bad, nobody minds that.
It is what it is, and you dish it out, you get it back.
Yeah.
And that's the way it is.
And this day and age as well, social media is such a big thing, and you send out a tweet like that, it's going to get a load of people, their eyes going to be on you, going to get a load of publicity, and that's what we've got as well. Got publicity, and we've probably got a load more followers from it. And
I just found it amazing that there was a playoff final. Leeds weren't even playing. Leeds got talked about more than Aston Villa and Derby County.
Brilliant timing.
I actually said to my mate, I texted him when Bielsa signed onto his contract. I said, I bet you anything that Si's been done for match fixing, which we'll get onto later, and Leeds' social media account is going to be more talked about in the media than Bielsa signing. And I was right because it was.
Yeah. It's a made Derby. It's like Leeds were in the playoff final on Monday. The word, and look, you dish it out, and the way Frank Lampard behaved, I thought was an absolute disgrace. He didn't shake Bielsa's hand after the game, which any Leeds manager would do. So even in defeat, you're disappointed. You still shake the manager's hand, and I think he needs to learn a little bit of decorum. I think he needs to learn a little bit of class. Yeah, and how he's linked with the Chelsea job is beyond me. He's taken a Derby County side that finished 6th last season.
And finished 6th.
Finished 6th this season, I think.
With one fewer point as well.
Yeah, with one fewer point, yeah.
Whereas Leeds, I think someone, I don't know, I can't credit the account because I can't remember it, but somebody tweeted that Leeds were 13th last season on 60 points. Yeah. And we finished this season 3rd on 83 points.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
our manager was worth 23, their manager was worth minus one.
Exactly. So how Frank Lampard even gets linked to it. Look, I'll be honest, as a footballer, he's a brilliant footballer. Don't get me wrong, what he did at Chelsea was fantastic. He broke Bobby Tomlin's record to become their all-time goal scorer. As a manager, he's nowhere near.
He's done nothing yet. One season.
He's had one season at Derby County. He's done what Gary Rowett did. He's done what Darren Wassell did. He's done what Steve McLaren did. Failed in the playoffs. Yeah. And that's all he's done.
Yeah.
That's a low blow comparing him to Steve McLaren.
Well, it is what it is. And it'll be very interesting to see how Derby County skirt on FFP next season. Yeah. Because Mason Mount on loan.
Probably just sell the training ground to Mel Morris.
Well, that's a story in itself, isn't it? That's where Steve Gibson's got involved at Middlesbrough to see what they can find out on that. And it'll be very interesting to see where Derby County are manager-wise next year and player-wise, because they're there. Up the so-called without a paddle at the moment, financially wise.
Yeah, definitely, it'll be interesting
because they're going to have to rely on better loans.
Yeah,
that's a shame. It'd be a real shame if they were to fall apart financially.
The Stunleys are falling apart enough. So.
I hate that song. I don't even like the original. I don't like Morrissey. I don't like the Smiths, and I don't like that song.
I never sing that because it'll come back to bite you, and I never sing "We Are Going Up" because that'll come back to bite you.
Yeah, definitely.
So I'll only sing "We Are Going Up" at the end of the season.
Mathematically promoted.
Correct. When Leeds are 10 points clear with 3 games to play, I'll start singing it. And then again, they'll probably lose 12 points. I just
Football League docking us points.
With Frank Lampard, very disrespectful.
Yeah, definitely. I
because there's means and ways of celebrating. Look, we were all gutted when we got beat.
Not to say that we wouldn't have been running around Elland Road if we'd have got through to the final, because we would have been. That's just true.
But I would have hoped that we wouldn't have had a pitch invasion.
But I would bet any money that Bielsa would have acted with far more decorum and respect than Lampard
Bielsa would
did.
have shaken Lampard's hands and gone off to do his press conference. That's what he does. It's one thing that always grates me with playoffs is pitch invasions. Yeah, you've got through to the final. You've won nothing. You haven't won a thing, and it's come back to back.
You shouldn't pitch invade on a semi-final.
Of course you shouldn't. Of course you shouldn't. And they've won nothing, Derby County, and at the end of the day, they gave it all out, and now they're playing Leeds. And what makes me laugh even further is I've seen some accounts this morning. Derby's county season was based on beating Leeds United in that semi-final.
Yeah.
If that's your ambition, just to beat Leeds in a playoff semi-final, I think they need to reevaluate where they are as a football club, because your ambition shouldn't be to win a semi-final.
Yeah.
Your ambition should be win the final.
And they were bragging about developing Jin Bogle, weren't they?
Yeah.
When they've been playing the likes of Ashley Cole and Huddleston in the midfield, they were 45 years old. Must be going on now.
Yeah.
Their team is full of pensioners.
Yeah.
And Bradley Johnson, who must be pushing 30 by now.
Well, what was interesting that after the Leeds game, the second leg at Elland Road, there was that Snapchat video of them all having a go at Leeds United. Bradley Johnson was actually singing March On Together, and he was the only one. The others were singing derogatory terms against Leeds United.
Yeah.
You never do that in a playoff semi-final.
No,
because
never.
I think as Adrian Durham tweeted from Talk Sport, and I like Adrian Durham. I think he's very forthright in his views, and he gets a lot of unfair stick. Got the feeling that Derby County over-celebrating the playoff semi-final. Yeah, celebrate. I get that. Be happy. Be delighted that you're in at Wembley. You've got one more game to go, and if you don't win that game, it comes back to bite you, and that has.
Yeah.
You look at Leeds when they beat Preston and Carlisle. They didn't over-celebrate. There was no pitch invasions. Okay, counted for little because they lost the finals to Watford and Donny. But there was none of this pitch invasions, none of this going mad with the way they celebrated. And it'll just be interesting when Leeds play Derby next season. It will be very, very spicy.
Yeah, will be very interesting.
Especially if Lampard's still manager.
Yeah,
very much so.
That'll be
very
brilliant.
much so.
Of course, they did lose that final 2-1 to Aston Villa. 2 mistakes as well. You mentioned Bogle. He made a mistake for the first goal. You could say, and then Keller Roos, the goalkeeper, making a mistake in the second half. And Aston Villa are going on to win. Now, I didn't enjoy seeing Grealish and John Terry running about daft.
No,
but
it was hard. It was hard to be happy about that because I really don't like John Terry.
It probably was, but it's one of those last of the two evils, isn't it? Who would rather see promoted? And I thought Grealish had a quiet game. Yeah. To be really honest with you, and it'll be interesting to see if he stays at Aston Villa.
He was poor against Leeds. I thought.
Just diving all about.
I think he had 8 touches and he created 1 chance in 90 minutes. And he's their maestro.
Fair play to Dean Smith. He came in when Villa looked nowhere at the start of the season for Steve Bruce, and even at the start of March, I think they were 10th or something in the league, and have gone up through the playoffs. And good luck to them. Be interesting to see how they do.
Big club. They are a big club.
Yeah, big club. Yeah.
I don't think they'll finish 4th, as someone ranked TalkSport suggesting.
Comparing Tyrone Mings to bloody Virgil van Dijk. I'm ahead my hands watching that.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but Mings is on loan from Bournemouth, isn't he?
Yes.
So not even their player.
If he goes. But Abraham's on loan from Chelsea as well, so it'll be interesting to see what they do with that. But it look as gut-wrenching as it was. Good luck to Aston Villa. They deserve to go through in the playoffs, and it'll be interesting to see how Aston Villa, Norwich City and Sheffield United all go on next season.
Yeah, it will be Aston Villa, of course, winning, but the real winner from the weekend was Ross McCormack, former Leeds United player, gone on to £70,000 a week because of Villa being promoted.
The last time he kicked a ball at Villa Park.
I mean, I think it's been over 400 days.
He got sent out on loan after he claimed Steve Bruce sent him out on loan after he went to the training ground
and he
couldn't get through the barriers, just went home rather than go to train. I think. I always liked Ross McCormack because he was brilliant at Leeds, but he doesn't seem like he wants to be a footballer anymore.
No. I loved him from the day he followed me on Twitter, no longer on social media, unfortunately. Look, in 2013-14 he scored 29 goals and kept Leeds afloat.
He dragged us up to mid-table, didn't he?
He did.
Kept us up, really.
He joined Fulham, and then from there he only went to Aston Villa. He just had a very unhappy spell at Aston Villa, but he's had his wages trebled, quadrupled, whatever you want to call it, and good luck to the guy. if he can get it, why not?
Imagine being on that much money.
I wonder what he's spending
I don't
on.
know how many games he's played for Villa, but good luck to the kid.
I think he hasn't played for them for over 400 days.
But he's probably just bought shares in Iron Brew, is what I do.
But good luck to him. I think at Leeds he was a hell of a talent.
Yeah, definitely.
And obviously it just ended a little bit bitterly with the way him and Cellino sort of fell out and what have you, but But for that season, second half of the season, he literally dragged Leeds off the canvas and obviously scored 4 goals at Charlton, scored some important goals away at Barnsley. When 1-1 back end.
Was that the last time that Phil gave a 10 in his match ratings for 4 goals?
I think so, for his 4 goals. Phil Hay, if you're listening, you never give 10s. I must ask him about that, because I'm doing some ratings myself in my books.
9s aren't rare. He gives a couple of 9s out now and again, but he very rarely gives 10s.
10. So I will ask him about that.
Yeah, he's very tough to crack.
I loved Ross at Leeds. I know he sort of swayed opinion over him and what have you, over his contract situation, but look, fair play to him. He gets £70,000 a week for doing very little. I think we're all in the wrong profession.
And he gets to live in Australia.
Yeah.
He might print a few Leeds players in the summer.
Yeah. He's the real winner. Before we move on from the playoff final weekend, Lee Bowyer get promoted with Charlton.
He's been very impressive with Charlton.
It's his first season.
They didn't have any money really at all, and he got them up to the playoffs.
His first season.
Yeah. So it'd be interesting to be at Elland Road next season again.
Yes.
I'm sure he'll get a warm reception.
And another club that has been badly mismanaged away from the pitch. Roland du Chalet didn't even turn up at Wembley, their owner. And what Lee Bowyer has done to mould a squad with the likes of Lyle Taylor in there, Jason Pearce as well, Patrick Bauer, who got I think he got the winning goal. Fantastic job. I love Bowyer. I know he'll be remembered for some of the wrong reasons for what happened with the court case. But to me, and I've been writing about him last night, he dragged Leeds from nothing to the Champions League semi-final.
Well, he was a phenomenal player for Leeds. He kind of, once he left Leeds, he wasn't as good a player again.
And it was like a release because he was in court in the morning, he was flown over, and then he scored winning goals against Anderlecht in the Champions League, which is just outstanding from what Bowyer did. And he's one of my all-time favourite Leeds United players. I know it ended a little bit sourly for him when he went to West Ham and fell out with Peter Ridsdale. And what have you.
I mean, most people involved in Leeds
probably did.
Falling out with Peter Ridsdale.
I know he got a little bit of a bitter reception when he came back with West Ham that first season, but a lot of water under the bridge. Now, what he's done at Charlton is absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
Brilliant job. And he'll get a hell of a applause from me.
Hopefully.
I know he's been back a couple of times. I look forward to seeing him, and that's my tip to play first game of the season. Charlton at home.
That'd be brilliant.
The 4th in next season.
Just hope it was as good as the first day of last season against Stoke in the sunshine.
Magnificent.
That was brilliant.
That's when we knew we'd arrived.
Yeah.
Brilliant performance. Phillips was amazing. Hernandez was amazing. Matas scored the first goal, and
brilliant through ball from Saiz to Click for the first goal.
Brilliant days. And then we're going to destroy Derby County, or should I say Frank Lampard's Derby County, the following week.
That was really funny. And their goal shouldn't have even gone in either. I'm sorry, Bailey, but I'm criticising for that. Free kick should have been saved.
Possibly. But just going back to Bowyer, how weird would it be if Lee Bowyer is in one dugout and Jonathan Wood gets a Middlesbrough job and is in the other?
Oh wow!
It will be Fred reunited.
It looks more and more like that Woodgate running Borough.
It's a bit weird, isn't it? Woodgate.
He's not very popular up there, from what I can understand. No, not with the fans anyway. He's obviously popular within the club.
Yeah. After Pulis ball, I think anything's
but they love a defensive manager, don't they? Because they had Karanka before then. He's very defensive.
I know Karanka got them up in the end, and then got them relegated with half a season.
Monk defensive,
but he wasn't defensive at Leeds. That's the thing. Was Monk, or was he?
I thought he sat quite deep when we played.
I just don't think he noticed it really. I just don't think he noticed it.
We were definitely more defensively solid under Monk than we have been under Bielsa. But it's mainly because we just sat deeper, and we only played one second midfielder in Hernandez.
Yeah.
And the plan A was get it to Hernandez, and he'll find Chris Wood, and Chris Wood will score. That was it.
Absolutely, Chris Wood got 30 goals. So that's it. What's interesting for me is the amount of ex-Leeds players that have come managers. I know David Hopkins didn't last very long at Bradford City with a lot of problems there, but also you've got Bowyer now, possibly Jonathan Woodgate.
Harry Kewell relegated Notts County.
They're a mess. They're a mess on and off the pitch. Notts County.
Oldest club in the oldest club no longer in the Football League.
Now I think it's Nottingham Forest.
Yeah.
Or Stoke. Stoke.
I think Stoke.
Is it 1863 they are?
Stoke, and before they came Stoke City. So the amount of players that you've grown up with watching as a kid that have gone on to become managers is just quite weird. I'm just waiting for Ian Hart to turn up as a manager somewhere, although he's an agent with Jeff Clark at the moment.
I'm not trying to say anything here, but do you think obviously we're on talking about Ian Hart?
Yeah.
Do you think he might be fanning the rumours of Clark's transfer slightly?
I saw him on Saturday, but never got the opportunity to, because I was at the Legends game on Saturday at Doncaster. Never got the opportunity to actually talk to him, which is a shame. I don't know. It's difficult because the agents are out there to put players.
Oh, that's their job. Their job is to make the
commission.
most money for themselves and their players.
So, we'll see. Look, it's going to be an interesting summer. The transfer window's open. As I say, Leeds have got Bielsa done now. Get the next 2 jobs for me. Get your players in that you want to get in. Sort your pre-season friendlies out.
Do not lose anyone crucial.
No. The ones to add is, I think Pavel Sabicki's on his way out by the looks of things.
Yeah, it looks like we need to shift a bit of a few of the players off the wage bill.
I think J. Roy Grott will probably go.
Yeah.
Ekuban looks like
Ekuban's getting his. We're getting $1 million for him, which is fairly good business.
Yeah,
$1 million and a half.
Yeah.
And then you've got obviously Yunan O'Kane, who was out injured all season, broke his leg at Luton.
He's on the transfer list, I think.
So,
from what
look, there'll be changes. There's always what I don't want to see is wholesale changes, because I think we need a sprinkle of 3 or 4 players to really push on for next season.
I think we probably need a number 10 and at least one more winger.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Maybe another centre half, because we are quite light in the centre back positions.
Obviously, the goalkeeping issue is one that I think Bielsa's looking at. And then possibly another striker.
I would love us. I know we've kind of not got on with him in the past. I'd love us to go ahead and get Kieran Westwood from Sheffield Wednesday.
I don't know
what a goalkeeper.
I don't know what the deal is with him at Sheffield Wednesday at the moment.
Because he's arguing with them because they didn't want to give him a 1-year contract, and he wants a longer contract than that.
Yeah.
So I think if Leeds come up to him and say, "All right, we'll give you 2-3 years,"
and every time he plays against Leeds, he's absolutely unbelievable.
Because he's a very good. He's an excellent Championship goalkeeper.
He is.
And very, very experienced.
You get into this stage of the season that we all call silly season. Rumours will just fly around. Don't believe the in the knows, because 99% of them aren't in the know. The reputable ones, Phil Hay, Adam Pope, Joe Urquhart, Berron, Joe Mewis, they're all aware of what's going on. So all these so-called in the know accounts, dearie me, just scroll past them on social media is my best piece of advice.
I don't think there's any imminent transfers. I'd be surprised if we signed anyone before kind of mid to late June.
I think that's when the kind of hots up, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm sure someone will have a spy camera outside, no pun intended, outside Elland Road, sat in the car park having the McDonald's.
Watching people go in.
Watch people going out the crowd.
Do you remember when someone photographed Lewis Baker's car and released it to the media?
I think the best one was when someone photographed Benny from LUTV, and they thought it was Filippo Casido, and he had a camera mic on, and everyone thought I was doing an interview signing for Leeds. And I instantaneously went on social media and said, no, that's a new guy for LUTV. And it just basically...
It'll be interesting to see where the money comes for transfers eventually, with the rumours of Nasser Al Khalifa, chairman of Qatar Sports Investment and president of PSG, a very wealthy person. Reports of him wanting to buy shares in Leeds United, but Radrizzani coming out and saying that he isn't willing to sell. What do you guys make of this? A lot of respected journalists and a lot of big news outlets reported this. What do you make, Charles?
Well, it was in the Financial Times, and there's always been, Radrizzani's been at Leeds, there's been very definite links between him and Qatar, because they've got the Qatar Academy out there, don't they, which they're sponsoring. Yeah. And the youth groups the youth teams have been to a few tournaments over there, haven't they? So you can see why links have been made. Obviously, I think Radrizzani, the footballing world is aware that Radrizzani might require a little bit of investment to get Leeds over the line. I think people are kind of seeing the project now with Bielsa in the club. I don't know what you two feel about this, but I think the footballing world's kind of owners are thinking, right, well, Leeds came quite close there. They've got a good manager, decent set of players. I could chuck up a bit of money here and they'll get over the line, and I'll get my investment back tenfold when they get the TV revenue next year. So you can understand why people are making the links that they are. Yeah. I can't see Radrizzani selling his stake.
Yeah. For at least another year.
Definitely not his majority stake anyway, because he had his 5-year project in mind, didn't he? He wants to get Leeds back up, and then obviously reinvest the money we will get from going up. Whether or not we'll go up next season, we don't know, especially if we can't spend the money. But obviously we are in a little bit of trouble, not huge amounts, but it's kind of in the post, the FFP. So we're looking at loans. If we can use the loan market wisely, we'll be okay. But I don't think he'll sell his share. I'd also, you got the kind of the stigma of kind of, don't want to be too libelous if we're trying to avoid it. People kind of frown on Qatar's kind of and Qatari money for its kind of, they make it off oil and obviously sometimes human rights abuses and things like that. So and with Leeds kind of have enough of PR problem as it is existing.
Yeah. So it's still quite exciting when the news came out, though, because they're very wealthy people. I mean,
is it QSI, the company that he's part of?
Yeah, I was seeing Photoshop pictures of Mbappe and Neymar in Leeds United shirts.
Just before I come on, I just want to bring to attention, Brentford FC have just tweeted, "Thanks for the follow, lads. Welcome back." And I've just tweeted a picture of Fulham Football Club social media. So it's already started for next season. Fulham have just responded, "Nobody, Brentford admin," and I'll show you the picture. I think it's very funny. And it's just already started again.
It's banter. They're both West London clubs, aren't they?
Let me see the folks' outrage with all that again.
There won't be a peep. There won't be anything.
There'll be nothing.
And
we're not even to June yet. It started. Just going back to the Qatari links, I think for me, you take all these stories with a pinch of salt. Nobody knows the financial situation of the club. I think everyone's second guessing. And I think it could be a story that will run and run. I think that Andrea will have his budget in mind for next season. And we'll just take it from there. It's very difficult to know what to read into these stories. And when I read club sources, and I never like to understand a club source, because surely someone from the club won't have gone out and sold a story to the Financial Times for me. I just think it's something to keep an eye on. Look, if it happens, brilliant. There was the argument that you come like Manchester City and it's oil money and what have you. I think in this day and age, to get rich, that's what you've got to do in football nowadays.
Yeah, to be a successful football club, you need money, really.
Yeah,
which is stupid because you saw Harvey come out and say that football clubs are relying on owners too much. I mean, yeah, because
of the system you designed.
Yeah,
because you're not giving them any TV revenue.
Yeah, and football clubs wouldn't be football clubs without owners. You need an owner to be running.
Of course you do, and it's just a day and age that we live in now that. Okay, Norwich and Sheffield United have done it absolutely brilliantly well with not spending that much money, and okay, Aston Villa had a bit of the parachute payment in the second season down. To be successful in football, you are going to have to spend some money, whether that's at a League 2 level, League 1, Championship or Premier League level. And if the money comes in, great. If it doesn't, you spend it within your means. So, as I say, I take these stories with a pinch of salt, and what happens. And for me, it's important that you get your squad in order, you get your house in order, and go from there, really. Yeah. Because we went through all this with Chilino. No one had a clue what was going on day by day.
And Red Bull being linked with takeovers.
And I think the old famous saying goes, "I believe it when I see it."
Yeah.
Like we're all looking for when GFH bought the club, and look how that turned out. So take it with a pinch of salt.
I'd be very surprised if Andrea was to sell his stake now, having just. I imagine there'll be just agreed to extend Bielsa's contract. So I imagine Bielsa won't want to sign on for another year and then watch the whole ownership of the club change.
Yeah, definitely not.
That would surprise me.
I may be looking too much into this, but Radrizzani on his Twitter has taken out the bio chairman of Leeds United. I don't know if I'm looking too much into that or not, but it'll be interesting to see how that develops. I think a lot of people are quite mad though with the news that Radrizzani isn't willing to sell any stakes, because at the same time he came out and said we'll have to run a difficult summer in terms of the transfer market, meaning we're not going to be able to spend much. I mean, we do have financial restraints. We don't have parachute payments. Don't have as much TV money as other clubs. So there is restraints. So I think that kind of made people a bit unhappy. If you don't have enough money to fund the transfer window, then why here? Which is a fair point. But I think surely if you don't have enough money to fund a transfer window, you need to look for investment, and hopefully investment comes from the Qatari guys, whether they're buying the shares or not, whether they just give.
I'd be surprised if they were to give any investment without having shares of their own.
Yeah, they'll want to be majority owners.
You never know. The 49ers might buy another 5% or something like that. They might buy more shares. We don't know if that's going to happen. But I think we just have to be really smart with the transfer window.
Yeah,
because
definitely.
There's one thing we've not done in. This season's been all right, but in previous seasons we've struggled with getting transfer windows right. I mean, January was a bit of a weird one with Daniel James, but we need to get this window right. If we get this window right, well, I think we'll be fine.
Yeah,
I agree with that. I think this is a vital period now. If they get the right players coming in, and Bielsa will know what he wants, and then come August we'll be raring to go again. Look, the difference with this season, last season, is we're going to be one of the pre-season favourites. We didn't have that last year because no one knew how it was going to turn out. And I remember talking to Phil at the start of the season saying, are Leeds really ready for promotion? Until no one was quite sure. This year we've seen what Bielsa's done in his first season. We're going to be up there as one of the favourites. I don't know if that's an expectation or if that's going to buckle Leeds or what, or make it even a greater motivation.
There's always an expectation at Leeds United.
There is. But I think more than ever next season that will be expected to go.
That expectation is usually internal though, whereas this time it's going to be external.
Absolutely.
Because it's going to be everyone else. I think we're third favourites in the bookies to go up.
Really?
Yeah. I think Cardiff with Warnock Championship expert.
Yeah,
probably Fulham as well.
I think it's Cardiff, Fulham.
I think
Leeds.
Fulham an interesting one for me to Scott Parker because again, pressure was off him last season because they were going down.
He's not an experienced manager.
If that goes wrong early on in the season, then again he could be in trouble.
I think then they've got to shift huge amounts of players off the books.
Mitch will go, Sessegnon will go, Tom Kearney may go. Still one of the biggest mistakes in Leeds United's history, releasing Tom Kearney as a kid. But yeah, look,
such a good player.
Always scores against Leeds. Always. It's a championship. It's so unpredictable. And that's what makes it such a great league.
But we do definitely need to have a good summer. Onto Radrizzani, though. So, hopefully he hasn't. Something in the back of my mind's thinking Radrizzani's taken us as far as he can, really. He's come into a club which was toxic. He's built solid foundations, pumped a lot of money into the club, but it's evident that he can't fund a very succsuccessful transfer window.
He's not in the top tier of owners in general. He's probably not in the top tier of championship owners for amount of money he's got. But I wouldn't be too annoyed. I wouldn't be annoyed at all if it was the same for this season. We would go as hard as we can for the promotion push, make some smart signings. No one's going to say anything if we go up with him, are they?
Definitely.
No one's going to be. It's just people think you have to spend Villa's type of money to go up. But bear in mind, Villa went up for the playoffs. The teams that went automatically didn't spend any money. It's not what you spend; it's how you spend it.
Yeah, definitely.
I think for me, it's spending within your means. Look, we'd all love to go out and spend 30, 40, 50 million. It's just not viable. Because if you spend all that money, you don't go up. That's how clubs go bust. And we've had that under the Rizdale era that we spent silly money on Rio Ferdinand, Robbie Fowler, Seth Johnson.
We did make a profit on Rio, though.
We did. We made a 12 million profit. But by that stage, the financial bubble had completely burst at Elland Road. I think you've just got to be careful the way you spend. And if it means spending on loans, and if it means spending only a little money here or a little money there, so be it. And it just frustrates me, all these so-called in the know fans that think he's got no money. He has got the money, he's just choosing to spend it wisely, because what you don't want to do is overspend and then go into administration and look at Bolton. They're an absolute financial mess at the moment that nobody knows who owns the club. I think Kennelson's finally gone and they're into administration and will lose 12 points next season. So to me, just spend within your means. It is what it is. You're not going to please everybody. Look, if Leeds went out and spent 10 million tomorrow on a player, someone would moan. Because it's just the way of the world.
What we need to do is all we need to do is use the loan market wisely and promote the right type of youth players.
Yeah, very much so.
Get Edmondson on the bench, having a few substitute appearances here and there.
The get Robbie Gotts involved. I think he's been brilliant.
I think Pascal Struijk is an absolute beast.
Going to be another. We've got some wonderful kids coming through. We saw with Leeds winning the 23s.
We went to that.
Definitely.
They've got some great.
Never seen a centre back win as many aerial balls in a game as Struijk does.
And even Apo Hellman, another one who's come through from Managerial against Bristol City, played in the cauldron of Bramall Lane last season. So I think the future's really bright. I'm really positive about next season.
Absolutely bullied Billy Sharp at Bramall Lane.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. I always like to remind other fans of this as well when they go into mass panic. I think that we are amongst some of the luckiest fans in the country, really. We've got a good owner in Radrizzani, we've got a good director of football, got good staff, and it's a brilliantly run football club now.
Yeah, you turn back to the Cellino times. We were on the front pages for every single day for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
There's none of that now. There's none of that. Now, okay, we had the
we're still on the front pages because they like us there, but
look, we had the badge, which was quickly rubbished off with. No, my phone buzzed so much. I
don't know who okayed that.
But look, it's done now, and the club is in its most stable position for years. It's got sustainability, it's got continuity, and bring on next season.
Yeah, there's nothing unhappy to be unhappy about, really.
Absolutely.
As long as Bamford, who's been a kind of our biggest investment, can come up clutch next season, get a few more.
I also thought Paddy was unlucky with injuries as well.
Because he did both his knees in.
And he was out from August to December. Came back against Bolton, scored the winning goal, and then injury hit again. And it's difficult to get continuity into players because you need need to be playing constantly to be scoring goals. And look, I think Patrick Bamford for the full pre-season remember he signed very late for Leeds.
Yeah.
I think it was sort of end of July, beginning of August time when he signed, in time for the new season. Get that contract, get the full pre-season, and I think he'll go on and score plenty of goals next year.
Yeah,
definitely.
Honestly, I'm quite pleased that Tyler Roberts isn't in the Wales squad because I don't want him injured again.
I don't want any players
Tyler,
injured.
I think, and what people forget with Tyler, he's 19.
He's a phenomenal player.
He's brilliant. He took his goals brilliant against Preston, against Hull City, and I think again another one has just been very unlucky with injuries.
Yeah, he's got a few assists here and there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, going on to transfers then. So I hadn't really heard much about any ins coming into Leeds United and players coming in. Of course, it is going to be mainly free agents and Premier League loans that is looking likely for us bringing in players. But with players going out, so one player, Samuel Zaiz, he has slashed his own selling fee really with these reports coming out from Spain that he's been done for match fixing in La Liga.
We're not sure if he's just been interviewed or whether he's been arrested though.
No, he hasn't been arrested, I don't think, but he's been asked questions about. He's been given a statement. He's under investigation, but it's not good, is it? It's not good.
He's the kind of player which, unfortunately, we need to separate from the club because he's very talented, but the longer we keep him on the books, the less money he's going to be worth. Yeah. He is a bit of a.
I mean, we've lost money on him already.
Yeah, I think we can probably make what. Prior to this, we could have probably made about 2 or 3 million from him.
Yeah,
not made, but we've got that back.
Yeah, we'll be lucky to get the same £3 million we bought him for.
So we'll probably sell him for 2, something like that. Maybe even less, but I don't think much less. He'll want to go back to Spain, and we need to just get him off the books.
Yeah,
and separate from the club.
Yeah, I mean he's not good to have. He's 28-year-old, but he acts like a spoiled kid really sometimes. I mean, he's in such a privileged position, but he just doesn't really get his head down.
I like him as a player, but he's not professional enough to play in the Championship, and he's not serious enough as a footballer for us. And we need players that want to be in Leeds playing
and want to get promoted as well.
Serious, yeah.
I mean, he left midway through the season, and we were top of the league. He's just left, and what if he got promoted? He's just missed out on promotion. He just left saying, "I don't want to get promoted." I
think it's a difficult with Saiz. He came into a foreign country. I remember interviewing him after the Bristol City game back in November 2017. October 2017, we won 3-0. He scored 2 goals. Didn't speak a word of English. Had to get Hadi Sacco to translate for him, which was
Hadi Sacco, who's French.
He's French, he's an experience in himself, and it can be very difficult. You kind of look at J. Roy Grott, who's living on his own, and find it very difficult. It's just a very strange situation with Saiz. I think he's got bags of talent, and he can turn a game on a sixpence, but for one reason or another, it's just not worked out for him in Leeds. And it looks to me that he'll probably go back to Spain and probably settle there. I know he had issues obviously with his wife and what have you. He was quite homesick and whatnot. So difficult, brilliant player, and he was that missing piece of the jigsaw we all thought at the start last season.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think he was quoted that once the season was over, he kind of dropped his head and dropped his shoulders a little bit, and he knew there was nothing there to play for. I think the Newport County game didn't help when he spat in an opposition player, which he can't do, and it's disgusting to do that and he got his 6-match ban, and rightly so.
It's one of the most serious because most people in football will forgive people having minor violent outbursts in games.
Spitting's disgusting.
Spitting.
No football fan is okay with spitting them.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
Most people, and I think most football players as well, would rather be punched in the face than spat out.
Probably.
I mean, 26, 27 years old at the time, and he's spitting at people.
Yeah, and he came back and he obviously set the goal up for ALAW against Derby County at Frank Lampard Stadium. Sorry, Pride Park. He wasn't there last season, Frank Lampard. And he's just not quite been the same place. Started off all right this season, was an important part of the first few months.
Yeah, he got a few assists. He got assists against West Brom and
I think he scored against Bolton, didn't he? In the League Cup, but difficult one, and it's difficult when you're homesick as well. Look, I lived in London for 3 months and absolutely hated it because I had no family or friends 10 years ago, and it's not an easy thing to do, but whatever he chooses to do, I'm sure he'll go with the best wishes of the football club, and it's disappointing because I thought he could have been that number 10 role to sort of fill the boots of Fernandez when Pablo does eventually sort of retire. Yeah,
just didn't really have the attitude, but hopefully he gets his head down. We probably will sell him. I hope we do sell him. Really, he's don't think he's good to have in the dressing room, to be honest. But good luck to him if he does move. More on the outs then. 18-year-old winger Jack Clark. He sprung big interest from Premier League side Tottenham Hotspur. What do you make of this, Charles? Around £10 million the fee. Apparently Leeds have rejected an offer. But if he leaves, would you be too bothered?
I'd want to get slightly more money for him. I mean, I know it's greedy because he's not had that many appearances, but he's got the potential to be that player. He's only 18, and he's got another 12, 13 years of football in him.
And I think with Man City as well, valuing Jack Harrison at 15 to 20 million, then you could maybe push that fee for Jack Clark to 15 million as well.
I would not be annoyed if Leeds. I don't really want to sell anybody, but if Leeds was to sell Jack Clark for between 12 and 15 million,
which probably after we have to sell players.
We have to sell players to fund. I wouldn't be annoyed because that would fund our entire transfer window more than likely.
Yeah,
and also we'd get some. You get those the people controlling the FFP at the Football League to get away from our door for a little bit, because if we're making £12 million on a player sale, that's going to go massively in our favour of FFP.
I don't think it would be too much of a loss. Over the past few years we lost a lot of youngsters, and it's nice to keep them all. But I think with Jack Clark, if we sold him, I wouldn't be as gutted as if Shackleton left, or as gutted as I was when Lewis Cook left, definitely. But that's one to keep an eye on, Jack Clark, whether he leaves or not. But we will have to sell players to buy, that's for sure. Now, before we move on to the quiz, back onto Bielsa, when he signed, a lot of people were like, he must have a lot of demands, which he does. And BBC Radio Leeds' Adam Pope pretty much explained everything for us in a Twitter thread, which was quite nice. So he first of all went and said, after intense negotiations centred around the club's ambition, the squad, and improvements to the training ground, and not his own salary, which I think is brilliant. It just shows Bielsa's character, doesn't it?
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's it's what you kind of expect from the man. He wants to see he wants the vision. He doesn't not really interested in discussing the.
Yeah.
I mean, he's 6'3" years old.
Like
but I mean, he's 6'3" years old. He don't need millions anymore.
No. I'm sure he's made his money down the years.
Yeah,
I think he just wants to be part of it, doesn't it? Part of something special, and hopefully be that man that finally gets us back to the promised land.
Yeah. Adam Pope continued to say Bielsa feels his squad is now better than the one he inherited, which it definitely is, and he believes there's another crop of academy players who can supplement the first team in the way Jamie Shackleton and Jack Clark have shown over the past year, which definitely is the under-23s winning the league. Definitely a lot of the youngsters
as well doing the doubles.
I'm excited to see a few under-23s making the jump up to the first team next season. Thorpe Arch will undergo further improvements, including recommission of the swimming pool, installing a 1 kilometre running track, remote controlled filming of training, and upgrading the dressing rooms to mirror Elland Road. I completely agree with everything.
Players will only come back for pre-season training. Be a lot of running going along. So rather than us, although I do need to get in shape. But yeah, look, he's methodical, isn't he, Marcelo? And he wants everything to the nth degree, and that's what I love about him. And look, he'll get it right. I am certain he'll get it right, and we'll be there or thereabouts come what May next season. It'll
be interesting recording training, whether we'll send that to Frank Lampard in Derby County.
Yeah, there you go, Frank. We do training as well.
Mirroring dressing rooms for Elland Road, I think that's good as well.
I think that's a really good idea because I think what he wants to mirror the training ground to Elland Road.
It'll feel like the same environment.
Absolutely, and I think familiarity breeds contempt, and I think that is a really clever idea for Bielsa.
And he wants the cut of the grass as well to be the same.
Yeah, and he's thinking outside the box as well.
He wants to make the players always feel like they're ready to play, ready to train.
Yeah, very much so.
And they'll be more comfortable as well going and training. They'll be more happy as well with good environment.
Yeah. Well, didn't they interview Roof and a couple of other players at one point talking about the improvements to the training ground? How they've got like a games room, they've got their own beds there. So
Bielsa sleeps there.
Yeah.
Which I think is brilliant. That just shows how dedicated to the job he is.
Yeah.
I'm in a very lucky position. I cover the Leeds United ladies home and away, and bumping into him a couple of times at Thorpe Arch, and he thought I was security one day, which I thought was quite funny. So no, Marcelo, I can't do the door for you.
Does he speak any English then?
He does. He does.
Because obviously I know he gets everything translated by Salim Lamrani.
I just think it's translated just because his press conferences don't go on for 2 hours.
Yeah. Is it just because he speaks broken English?
I think so. And look, his press conferences with Salim are fantastic.
Yeah.
And I think the one that will go down in history is Ipswich. No, I give up. Brilliant. He's given us so many laughs this season. He's brought the team closer together. He's brought the whole community together, and he's brought the city back together.
Yeah.
Which it wasn't quite broken, but from the previous this season under both Thomas Christensen and Paul Heckingbottom, we didn't have a direction of where we were going. Leeds have now got a clear direction of where they want to be in 12 months' time. They've got the manager that they want to be, and I think they're aiming to go for August 2019.
It's massive reason for optimism as well.
Massive,
because you know if he's agreed, then there is definitely going to be some backing. There's going to be some. The club are going to invest in themselves, they're going to invest in the facilities, they're going to invest in everything to do with the club.
Very much so. Like, I just want to go back 2 seasons ago when we lost Gary Monk. We didn't know where we were going. No one had heard of Thomas, and this is nothing against Thomas Christensen, because I thought he had a really good first half of the season at Leeds.
Got a new owner as well.
And then it just kind of fell apart second half for him, especially with the Newport County game. Under Bielsa, we have got a clear emphasis on the direction we are going. We've got the manager in. We've got a second season. We've all had the first season as an experience. No one anticipated finishing third in the league. Okay, we were top for quite a lot of them. We thought we might get promoted. But you've got to use that motivation against Derby County, use that as the emphasis, going on that first day of pre-season and say, right, we have 1 goal this season, that's to win automatic promotion. Get everyone on gear, get everyone's heads down and do it. And hopefully this time next year we're a Premier League side in 2020.
Definitely. I think there's a lot of understanding at Elland Road as well with Bielsa and Victor Orta and everything. Adam Pope tweeted, with profit and sustainability issues being a key factor, Bielsa is realistic about the transfer policy. So
he understands,
he understands that there is restraints and that the days of buying several players worth £10 million plus are no longer, so the loan market will be a key part of the club's recruitment strategy. Phil here replying to someone as well, saying the club will go heavy on Premier League loans, and he also appears to be happy with that. So it's good, he's staying and he understands everything. Absolutely. And he's happy to continue the job, which is brilliant.
There is a player at AFC Bournemouth called Lewis Cook. I think you might have heard of him. Obviously battling his way back from fitness. What a cheeky loan bid for Lewis to play with Calvin Phillips instead of midfield next season.
He said something controversial recently, didn't he?
He
Lewis
did
Cook,
actually,
saying he didn't enjoy playing at Elland Road.
I think it was more the expectation level, because the fans were so expecting that every game would be the same.
It's only a 10,000 seater stadium at Bournemouth. I know. He's basically playing in a non-league stadium in the Premier League.
But no, in all seriousness, and I'm not being serious with Lewis Cook because he's a brilliant player, a really good club in Bournemouth. I think the low market will be vital for how Leeds United use it next season. And look, I'm excited. I think I'm ready for a few weeks off from sort of watching it all, because it's draining watching football, and that defeat against Derby, I've not watched it back yet. I refuse to watch it back. It's too difficult to watch it back, despite Derby losing the final on Monday. But look, it's done now. You draw a line in 2018, 2019, you're out to go for 2020, and let's see. I think that there's high expectations. I think there's plenty of reasons to smile. There's plenty of reasons to be positive, and let's go for next season.
Let's go up in our centenary season.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that would be brilliant. That would be brilliant. Well, now it's time for this. Yes, it's time to test your knowledge with the end of the season quiz, where I'll be asking questions based on the 18-19 season that has just gone. Stats, pressure on you, pressure on you, mate. I think if you don't get every single answer correct, there will be questions asked about your nickname.
If I don't get all the questions right, can we just edit this out on Twitter, please?
Yeah. And Charles, I mean, it's probably unfair you going up by yourself against Stats, because Stats probably knows everything about it.
There's nothing to lose for me here. I either win and I look brilliant, or I lose and people go, yeah, fair enough, he lost. He probably should have lost anyway.
I'm like the Derby. I'm the Aston Villa. You're the Derby County. I've got all the pressure on.
Oh, don't say that. That's far too insulting. That.
Well, let's get into it, Dan. Play along at home as well when you're listening to it. Let's get started. You've both got pens. You've both got paper. So question 1. Who scored the first goal for Leeds United in the 18-19 season?
Are we talking competitively or pre-season?
Competitively.
Competitively.
I'm going to say that would be unfair if it was pre-season. I wouldn't even know who that is, but I know who this is.
Luke Canning against Forest Green.
I'm going to lose this quiz, aren't I?
Definitely.
Anyway.
Question 2. So we end up going unbeaten in our first 8 league games. But how many of those 8 games did we win?
8 league games. Right, hang on. I've got to think about this now.
I'm trying to remember the results. I know.
I'm making notes as I go along.
So, unbeaten in our first 8 league games. How many of those games did we win? Looking at stats, writing down all the results.
1, 2, 3.
I know it's one of 2 numbers, but I'm not sure which one it is.
Just want to check this.
Going on to question 3 then. So the 22nd of September 2018, we were handed our first defeat in the league. But who defeated us and what was the score?
This one's easy enough.
That's question 3. So who defeated us and what was the score in our first league defeat of the season?
Would be that manager as well, wouldn't it?
Question 4. So after a 4-1 defeat away at West Brom on the 10th of November 2018, we went on a winning streak. But how many games did we end up winning in a row?
I mean, we were talking about this earlier, so
42.
If only.
If only we went on a 46k win streak.
Question 5 or 6. How many of those?
5.
5. How many of those 7 games were at home?
Oh, you.
It's amazing what you forget, isn't it?
I know.
I'm making notes here.
Just write it down, Charles.
I know. I can think of 3 of them. 2 of them were at home. 1 of them was away. Oh shit! I should have said that.
Yeah. How many of those 7 games that win streak were at home? Question 6. During those 7 wins in a row, we beat Bolton Wanderers 1-0 away from home. Who scored for us in that game? Who scored the only goal in that game away at Bolton Wanderers when we beat them 1-0? Question 7. At the turn of the new year, 2019, the Spygate saga happened, which was where someone from Leeds was caught spying, say that in quotation marks, spying on Derby County's training session a day before we played them at Elland Road. But what was the day this story broke?
The date the story broke?
What was the date? So we played them on a Friday, so it's obviously a Thursday, but what was the date?
I need to work. Oh, Christ.
I'm gonna guess this. I think I'll be quite close with this.
So the story broke on a Thursday?
Yes.
Yeah. Can I check my calendar?
No.
No phones.
I think that's right.
You got an answer written down, guys?
I've written one down, yeah.
Question 8. We played Derby County the night after on the Friday. What was the score and who scored? So what was the score against Derby County at home and who scored those goals? It's a clue there. Goals. More than one.
I know who scored one of them. I'm trying to think. I think I know who scored the other one as well. Yeah.
Our only signing in the January transfer window, so this is question 9. Our only signing in the January transfer window was 32-year-old Spanish goalkeeper Kiko Casilla on a 4-year deal from Real Madrid. But what was his kit number? What is his kit number, should I say? So Kiko Casilla, our only January transfer window signing. What is his kit number?
I think it's that. Not entirely sure.
Both got one down?
Yeah.
Question 10. On the 9th of February, we drew 1-1 away at Middlesbrough, scoring our latest ever goal on 101 minutes. Who scored our equaliser?
Phil Hay tweeted me, Stats, what's the latest ever Leeds goal? And people responded, not now, Phil.
He's magic, you know.
It's a Yorkshire Evening Post, Phil. Hey. Don't quite work, does it?
Question 11. We then scored our quickest goal this season during a 4-0 win over West Brom at Elland Road on the 1st of March. But who scored and how long had gone in the game? So who scored and how long had gone?
Half of these questions mean Stats were discussing earlier.
Yeah.
Talking about the season.
Well, I can't read the future, mate.
Shame.
Sorry to remind you. Question 12. In a 1-0 loss at home to Sheffield United, goalkeeper Kiko Casilla was sent off in the second half. Which outfield player ended up playing in goal?
Lucas Radebe.
Legend.
Yeah. Question 13. Who finished Leeds' highest goal scorer? Who finished as Leeds' highest goal scorer in the season? Question 14. Who had the most assists?
I knew you'd ask that. I don't do assists.
Sorry. Both got one now.
I'm 90% sure it's this person. 90% sure.
Question 15. Who has played the most minutes away from home this season?
I'm pretty sure this is as well.
Oh, it's got to be him.
Yeah, I was thinking the same. Just logically.
Yeah. Was the only player that's played in every game.
Yep.
And the final question 16. Defender Liam Cooper scored on the opening day of the season in that 3-1 win at home against Stoke City. But including that one, how many goals did Cooper end up scoring throughout the 18-19 season? How many goals did Liam Cooper score?
I think I know what this is.
Both got an answer down?
Scored that. Yes.
Ready to do the answers?
Yeah.
Question 1 then. So who scored the first goal for Leeds United in the 18-19 season? Charles, what did you put?
Matthias Klick.
And
Matthias
Stats. Matthias Klick. Correct. Absolutely correct. Question 2. We ended up going unbeaten in our first 8 league games, but how many of those 8 games did we win? Stats, what did you put for this one?
5.
How about 6?
Put 6. It is 5.
Stoke, Derby, Rotherham, Norwich, Preston.
Yeah.
So it's 2-1 to Stats currently. Play along at home as well. So question 3, 22nd of September 2018, we were handed our first defeat in the league. But who defeated us and what was the score, Charles?
Birmingham City, and we lost 2-1. Alioski and a Che Adams double.
Correct.
Question 4 then. After a 4-1 defeat away at West Brom on the 10th of November 2018, we went on a win streak. How many games did we win in a row?
7.
7. Both got that one correct as well. Question 5. How many of those 7 games were at home? Stats, what did you put for this one?
3. Bristol City, Reading and Blackburn.
Put 3, Charles.
4.
4?
Yeah. Is it 3?
It's 4.
Get in!
It is 4.
No, it's 3. It's 3. Because we won at Sheffield, won at Villa, won at Bolton, won at Wigan.
Let me load this up. I should have wrote this down in here.
Wasn't the Sheffield United game later than that?
No, Sheffield United game was in December.
It's definitely 4.
I thought it was 4.
Oh, what was Wigan? No, it's 4. Yeah, I've got that one wrong. I've done one after. I'll give you that one.
Yeah, the 4 games at
Bristol
home,
City, Reading, Blackburn. Who have I
Bristol
missed?
City, Reading, Queen's Park Rangers,
QPR.
And then Blackburn.
I'm
Rovers.
human. I'm human.
Back in the game.
Stats has got one wrong.
I'm human.
5 currently, isn't it?
4 all.
4 all, yeah.
4 all.
Both got one wrong.
I'm annoyed at that.
Question 6. Germany does 7 wins in a row. We beat Bolton Wanderers 1-0 away from home. Who scored for us in that game?
Patrick Bamford.
Patrick Bamford. Yes,
Good
that is
goal,
correct. Patrick Bamford on a 66 minutes.
Nutmeg from Pablo Hernandez.
Great through ball. Great through ball.
Question 7. At the turn of the new year, 2019, the Spygate saga happened. Which date did that story break? Charles, what did you put?
The 18th of January.
18th.
I put the 10th.
Stats is absolutely correct.
Crap.
We play them on the 11th on the Friday.
Yeah.
How do you
Thursday,
know that?
January 10th.
I've got a thing with dates.
Question 8. We played Derby County the night after, of the Friday, of course. What was the score and who scored, Charles?
2-0. I put Jack Harrison and Roof.
Yeah, correct.
Absolutely
I think
correct.
Harrison was a tap in after the ball came in.
Yeah,
and
it
he
was
tapped in from a yard.
it was his second goal for Leeds because his first one against Millwall. He taps it in from about a yard out.
That's right. Millwall's the edge of the area, wasn't it? From about 20 yards
put
out.
it in the bottom corner. Yeah. But this one, it was a tap in, but he still blasted it.
Yes.
So 7 to 6 currently, is it to Stats?
Yeah.
Question 9. Our only signing in the January transfer window was 32-year-old Spanish goalkeeper Kiko Ksé, who signed on a 4-year deal from Real Madrid. But what was his kit number? Stats, what did you put for this one?
33.
I put 31. Is it 33?
It's 33. It's 33. Stats has got
I knew it was in the 30s.
Stats has got that
Pleased
one
with that.
absolutely spot on. Question 10. On the 9th of February, we drew 1-1 away at Middlesbrough, scoring our latest ever goal on 101 minutes. But who scored our equaliser, Charles?
The Yorkshire Pearler, mate.
Calvin
Phillips.
Oh, sorry, Calvin Phillips.
Calvin Phillips. Absolutely correct there. Question 11. We then scored our quickest goal this season during a 4-0 win over West Brom at Elland Road on the 1st of March. Who scored and how long had gone in the game?
16 seconds, Pablo Hernandez.
Correct.
Yep, absolutely correct there.
16.2 seconds to be precise.
I was
We're not going into decibels.
if you said 16 or 17, you would have got it correct for either 16 or 17. Question 12. In a 1-0 loss at home to Sheffield United, goalkeeper Kikokse was sent off. So which outfield player went in goal, Stats?
Bondeth Janssen.
Yes.
Without any gloves, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, without any gloves.
And with only one kneecap.
In a game, Pontus Janssen played centre-back, striker and
God,
goalkeeper.
that's a great stat. That is a brilliant stat.
Very versatile player, Pontus Janssen.
He missed that chance, didn't he?
From the header. Yeah.
No, it fell to his feet.
Yes.
He was about 6 yards out and he blasted it because his knee was hanging off.
Question 13 then. Who finished as Leeds' highest goal scorer this season?
Kamal Roof.
Kamal Roof with
14 goals.
15.
If you can't, I'm counting the normal season, not the playoffs. 14 goals.
15.
So it is a 11 to 10 currently.
I might have fallen to pieces these last three questions.
Question 14. Who had the most assist stats? Let's
Pablo?
go with you first.
Pablo Hernandez, I put.
Yes.
With a 10, was it 11 or 10?
12.
12.
It was 12. Stats, did you know that?
Yes, because
12.
on the BBC Sport website when people keep asking me how many people have had assists. I don't keep assists, but it's just the obvious.
Yeah.
The obvious one.
12 assists, 12 goals from Pablo Hernandez. Unbelievable season.
Geriatric Pablo Hernandez with a 24 goal contribution. I'm joking. I love you, really, Pablo.
Question 14. 15 rather. Who has played the most minutes away from home? Charles.
Matej Klich.
Yes.
Matej Klich.
We'll put that.
He's the only player that played in every game.
The only one that would possibly come close would be ALAW.
Yes, but he got injured into it.
Yeah.
Brentford.
Yeah. Did his meniscus. Which is
meniscus, great name.
Incredible stat, that, isn't it? Matej Klich playing every single game this season, where he was out of favour last season by two managers, and then he's come and played every game.
Good player, but he has looked tired at times. Yeah. Possibly could have done with a bit of a rest at some point.
But he has been brilliant.
Very good. And was it 10 goals, 8 assists, something like that?
Yep. So the final question. Question 16. Defender Liam Cooper scored on the opening day of the season in that 3-1 win at home to Stoke City. But including that goal, how many goals did Cooper end up scoring throughout this season, Charles?
3. He got one against Ipswich, one against Preston, one against Stoke.
3.
You both put 3?
Yeah,
both absolutely correct.
He's never scored away from home for Leeds.
I
don't know.
His Ipswich one was the best one because he hit it kind of top bin to edge of the area.
Wow.
From a corner, from a shot corner. Which I remember moaning to you about because I hate shot corners. Because shot corners are garbage.
I think everyone around the ground was saying, bloody hate shot corners. Bloody hate shot corners.
Because they never work, you just lose the ball.
A nutmeg from Bavardi and then Cooper with a side foot into the top corner. It was a beautiful goal.
Right,
absolutely
so what does that get me?
So finished 15-14 to stats. Not too bad, Charles, to be fair.
Hang on, I got one wrong.
I got
16 questions.
I can't add up. 15. I'm annoyed at that one with QPR because I completely forgot that game because that was the game we finally got a penalty after 300 games to QPR.
So. I wasn't even a penalty.
No, it probably wasn't.
1 point off stats, Charles. Not too bad.
Yeah.
Not too bad going up against the stat man.
I'm annoyed at that QPR. I'm human. I'm human.
I thought it was 4. I did think it was 4.
I just forgot the cue because the Wigan game was before West Brom. Then we went to West Brom, got battered. Then we played Bristol City, Reading, Sheffield, Bolton, then QPR. That's when I missed out.
Yeah.
And then the most enjoyable game of the season, Aston Villa away.
Yep, but hopefully you guys.
I don't know. Blackburn at home ran it close.
that was a mad week, wasn't it? 2 3-2 victories in the space of 3 days. That was incredible.
Yeah.
But yeah, hopefully you two enjoyed that quiz. Hopefully everyone listening enjoyed that little quiz. And just a reminder of what an excellent season. What an excellent season it has been.
Really, really enjoyable. And look, we go again in August, and I think we're all very much looking forward to it.
It's a bittersweet symphony that's football.
Yeah, hopefully, we go again in our centenary year, and hopefully it's our time to get promoted back to the Premier League. That'd be nice.
Touch wood.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Well, that brings us to the end of episode 23 of the All Things Leeds podcast, the season finale of the All Things Leeds podcast. Thank you very much to Charles, as always, for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for getting me out of bed again, mate.
And thank you for joining me throughout the entire season, Charles. every time we've done this.
That's all right.
Appreciate it. And we will be back throughout the summer. Not every week, but we'll be back when we feel as though we need to.
Major news. We'll be back for major news.
Yeah, definitely. Stats, thank you very much as well for coming on. We really do appreciate it.
I think I've still got my reputation still intact, just about.
Yeah.
I won't sell yourself short. I'm fairly decent remembering stuff from this season.
Yeah. But yeah, thank you very much for coming on, Stats. Really do appreciate it. We need to get you back on again at some point. That'll be fantastic. Yeah, thank you very much for coming on. Where can people find you on Twitter?
They'll find me in a hole somewhere. LUFC Stats on Twitter. My aim is to get to 20,000 followers by probably Christmas. I'm 17, I think 500 at the moment. So keep
I can't help you that. I already follow you. So
no, in all seriousness, no, yeah. LUFC Stats on social media, on Twitter. As I say, yeah, keep a lookout. We've got some big things coming up over the next few months, especially with the centenary, and working very closely with the football club and stuff. That looking forward to, and of course my book as well.
Yeah, make sure you go follow Stats and look
buy
forward to buy his book. Buy his book that comes out. But yeah, thank you to everyone who listened as well. Really do appreciate it. If you enjoyed, then why not subscribe or follow the podcast on whatever platform you're listening on. Give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts if you're listening on there. Share a podcast around as well. That will help us out a lot. Make sure to follow All Things Leeds on all our social media. We're on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. Search up All Things Leeds 1 on Twitter and Instagram. Search up All Things Leeds on Facebook. Keep up to date with absolutely everything that is happening. We'll of course keep you up to date with all the transfer stuff as well. So make sure you go follow us. Subscribe to the YouTube channel as well, All Things Leeds, if you haven't already. Now with this being the 18-19 season finale of the podcast, I do just want to say thank you to everyone for listening throughout the entire season. Me and Charles, on behalf of me and Charles, we really do appreciate the support and everyone listening. It's been fantastic. We'll be back soon. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time.